What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode review of Hawkeye. Today is episode 3 titled Echoes. And you see here I'm decked out in a Christmas shirt for this Christmas show because we are now in the month of December. So yes, let's get into this episode now, shall we? So this episode, I will say, I found was much better than the first episode. I like the first two episodes, but I feel like this one just was much better in a lot. It mixed better, it felt just much better in a lot of ways. And, of course, this episode, we're now, a lot of it, focuses a lot on Echo, a character we met, of course, at the end of the last episode. We see the whole opening is about her showing her past and what led up to, where she is now, how, she's a deaf character, like I said, but she's also a amputee character. She's missing a leg, which I thought was a thing that was also in the comics. It wasn't. Actually, I learned that just recently, that actress who plays her, Alaqua Cox, she also just is actually missing a leg in real life, and also is deaf also, so that's all pretty cool. So, and the whole opening of her in the episode was showing her in school, and actually she's actually, even though she is deaf, she's been deaf since she was a kid, she's actually pretty adept at reading lips and understanding, okay, this is what the teacher is saying, because she could easily just fill in stuff in the book. And she had a nice little fun scene with her dad and such, and of course he mentions how dragons, she asks if dragons real, and he's like, no, dragons don't exist. And I'm like, watch Shang-Chi, because they do. But yeah, and then of course we see how she trains in such a young age, but also we see how, we learn that Ronin, or Clint, he killed members of the Tracksuit Mafia that her father led, and he killed them, so that's why she's after him. So that was all cool, and honestly, the whole opening with Echo was very good. I really enjoyed it, and I think all what we see with Echo in the episode is very good, so I'm intrigued to see more of her throughout this show, so there's that. But a lot of the rest of the episode, one thing actually I wanted to say before I go any further, I forgot to mention in the last episode review, is that Matt Fraction was actually credited as a consulting producer on the show, which I thought was very interesting, because almost never do the Marvel shows or even DC, do they usually get the writers or artists from the actual books they're basing the work off of to be consulting people on the projects. Yeah, Stan Lee's been an executive producer on a lot of stuff in the credits, but I doubt he had literally, I think it was some kind of deal he made years ago to get that credits. So I think he had no involvement at all of any of the stuff he was executive producer credit on. And I think back in the early days of Marvel, I think back when they made the first Iron Man, they got a bunch of the comic writers to come in and help them out with that film, Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Millar. So I think early days they did that, but nowadays they don't really do that anymore. So but it was interesting. I saw Matt Fraction, they actually have him as a consulting producer, which I thought was, that was pretty cool. So I wonder if they're going to do that with some of the other Marvel shows going. We have stuff like Secret Invasion and Armor Wars. We know the Marvel Zombies spinoff they're doing, Robert Kirkman, I almost forgot his name. Robert Kirkman, he said that he has no involvement in that show at all. He's not going to be a consulting person on it. So I found it interesting that he's a producer on this show. So a lot of people complain about how David Ajala, I think they pronounce his name, who did the art of the book, he's not getting proper credit for the show, because a lot of the title sequences and posters were based off stuff he drew for the book. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, it's a lot of stuff, so maybe he's not getting credit, I'm not really sure. I don't remember seeing his name in the credits, but yeah, that's a whole thing. But I just want to mention the whole Matt Fraction consulting producer last episode, and it's going forward. But anyways, into the rest of the episode, a lot of it was just very good. The humor was very good. I thought the action was really great. After the last episode, it was really kicked up a notch after the very quick street fights we had, and then the LARPing, if you want to call that, action sequence. And it was not much, but this one's we have a really great car chase sequence that has an amazing one shot at one point. There's a couple great just one shots, not too many, but there's a few just one camera shots, but particularly also one shot earlier where Echo's fighting Clint, where it's a pretty great one shot just showing them going hand to hand a bit, which I thought was pretty cool. But the car chase scene, the whole one shot there was really impressive and really cool. I thought that was pretty awesome. And of course there's stuff minor that's also ripped from the comics as well, that car chase. And we'll see we see some of Clint's trick arrows that Kate utilized during the fight, which is pretty cool. We see stuff his goop arrow, which looks very that one looks kind of cartoonish and cheesy a bit, but still kind of cool. There's that multiple wire one that pulls trees in and whatever. There's an explosive arrow, and there's also the plunger arrow, which is used to hold on stuff with the grappling arrow. And of course, also the Pimtech arrow, which like God, he had Kate like shoot one arrow, then he shoots the Pym arrow and has it grow massive size, which like, I mean that's pretty cool and awesome. Did not expect to see something like that happen, so that was pretty cool. And also like, and trick arrows, I'm not sure if that's ever been a thing that's been heavily associated with Hawkeye. Like more so Green Arrow, because he has trick arrows like his boxing glove arrow. I doubt Clint would use that, but I don't think Clint's ever had trick arrows per se. Like he's had like very standard ones, like your explosive ones and your net arrows and like whatever. But he has a lot more trick arrows here, so that's pretty cool. And again, a lot of the other stuff with Clint and Kate, you're seeing more their camaraderie like is really working well off each other, especially during like once like Echo kicks Clint's hearing aid out and breaks it. I mean, we start seeing how much of Clint's hearing has kind of like deteriorated a bit. It's like he can still kind of hear out of the other ear, but like still not great. It's very fuzzy. So we see how their camaraderie works. Like it works very well. Just seeing them kind of like Kate trying to communicate with him, but he can't hear her at all. So like it's just repeating the same thing she's literally saying to him at the same time. Like I like the seeing them on the train. I felt like just chilling like after the big fight. Like, oh man, okay, that was a lot. Oh, we gotta walk the dog now. Like that whole scene I thought was funny. Just her, we should walk the dog. Like, I mean, he's probably been cooped up all day. And then Clint's just like, you actually are one of the greatest archers I've seen. And she's like, oh my god, really? You think so? And then, like, of course, he can't really hear, so he's like just ignoring, or not ignoring, you just can't hear what she's saying, like saying thank you. He's just like, we should probably walk the dog, saying the same thing she said. The camaraderie really works. Like, honestly, like, I think, like, their chemistry just clicks immediately. Like I said in the last review, like, their chemistry clicked just immediately so well off the bat. Like, it just works very well. But, also with the loss of his hearing aid for a little bit of the episode, it does lead also some, like, sweet moments also. Like, there's a part where, like, we see his younger son Nathaniel calls him from his wife's phone, and, like, of course, he has Kate help him, like, communicate. Like, she, like, will write down a notepad about what he's saying to help understand what they're talking about. And it's very sweet seeing, because he keeps saying, like, it's movie marathon night, and I asked her to get me home for Christmas and such, and he keeps saying, I'll get there, and like his son saying how it's okay if you don't, but he's promising I will be there. So it's a very sweet scene, like just showing how much Clint very much is a family man. I do like the addition of his family a lot. It works very well. So yeah, that's pretty. I like that. Was a really nice scene. But of course, and there's still a lot more like funny scenes with like Clint and Kate. Clint telling her how he's not really a role model. He's never really been there, which like. I kind of look at that of him saying as a role model, because first off, stuff it is Ronin, he shouldn't be viewed as a role model. But also, of course, he says how he's always tried to stay under the radar, which is why a lot of his, costumes have been very not really flashy in the MCU, excuse me. They've always been just like standard like black suits with like shield design on it. I mean, like his one in Civil War, like he's never had purple. Like even Kate says you should put some purple in your costume and such, but she says you have a branding problem, like you should like make a better costume that be more recognizable. And she even draws on a napkin the classic Hawkeye costume. He's just like, no way. Which, because that costume, as much as that is like an iconic suit, like it is a goofy costume. Like I'm not really sure if you could see it work in live action, or well, they did adapt it, because this was an official thing that Marvel released themselves on their official Twitter and Instagram accounts. It was just like a little featurette video of Jeremy Renner talking about, the LARPing stuff in episode 2. And they show like, kind of quick little snippets from like the people on the set and their costume. And like, there's like 2 shots you see of a guy actually wearing a comic accurate like Hawkeye costume. And so I mean, there's like sleeves on both arms, which there should be a sleeve on one arm. But just we can let that be. But no, it was a completely accurate suit. I was kind of like, when I saw that, I was like, where was that in the last step? Like, you think that'd be, like, it was weird. It was somewhere in that LARPing scene, but it was somewhere just in the background. You would have put that more up front and center, I would feel. But, I don't know, so it does actually work. They actually managed to, like, I always kept saying, that costume may be a bit too goofy to make it work in live action, but they managed to make it work, and it looked pretty good. But even with that, I don't think we'll ever see Clint wear the classic suit. Like, maybe if there's a version of Hawkeye in Multiverse of Madness, like maybe we can see him in the classic suit there. But I don't think we'll ever see Clint, or this version of Clint at least, wear it, because like this version definitely he's not a character who would wear that kind of costume. I mean, we've seen in like posters and like trailers before that he will get a costume at some point in the show. Like it looks more in line with the a costume he's worn in the comics since, like, he debuted in the MCU. Once they brought Hawkeye into the movies. Like, his costume in the comics changed to look a bit more like a sleeker, like kind of black suit with some purple on it, a purple Arrowhead logo. Which we've seen photos of him wearing that kind of costume, so he'll get that at some point. So, that's cool. And also, it already has a lot of the purple motif, like, he has, like, gas arrows that are purple smoke, and, like, the goose purple and all that. And even Kate, she's wearing a purple costume, so, and I was about to say also, like, his Civil War costume, I mean, you can't really see it much in the film, but, like, in, like, images like this, like, of him, like, you can tell it's supposed to be a very dark purple, so, I mean, the purple motif has been there for a while, just he's never really utilized it much, so, yeah, but I'm excited to see him get that actual costume at some point in the show, so that should be pretty cool. And they also do partly name the dog. They name him Pete's dog now. Like, for now, I'm not sure. I'm assuming he'll get the name Lucky for now, because Pete's dog is kind of an not an acronym. Like, just another name he has, like a nickname, but his actual name he has is Lucky. So it's something he'll get that name too. So yeah. Of course, the episode itself, it ends on a cliffhanger because, like, Kate takes Clint back to her mom's house to show so they can hack into, like, or not hack in, like, go into, like, her mom's network security company because she worked there. And they're trying to find information about some of the tracksuits and also about if potentially, Jack, he's the one who killed his uncle. And, of course, Clint thinks he hears someone in the house, and then it's actually Jack. He, like, pulls the sword up to his neck, which is the Ronin sword, and tells him not to move. And it cuts to black, and that's the end of the episode, which I felt was a very abrupt ending. That's my one complaint I'll give about this episode, is that felt like a very abrupt ending, just how it cut like that. I know it's meant to be a cliffhanger thing, but it didn't really feel like a big shock reveal cliffhanger, like, oh, what's going to happen? I mean, you're going to wonder what's their explanation going to be, but, like, it's not a surprise to see Jack there, because Jack already basically lives there, because he's going to be marrying, like, Kate's mom, so that wasn't too much of a surprise to me, so I'm like, okay, it's either going to be her mom or Jack, and it was Jack, so, like, it wasn't too much of a surprise to me, because I'm like, this is their house, basically, so why would it be that much of a surprise, like, oh, shoot, it's Jack, like, I mean, yeah, like I said, the whole thing will be about how they explain themselves, like, will there be a quick fight scene? I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't think Clint knows what Jack looks like, so there could be a quick scuffle or not. Someone just fell off my desk there. But honestly, that's my one complaint. That's my sole thing I have that I wasn't big on the episode. Like I said, like, a lot of their stuff was very good. Like, I don't know, I'm digging a lot how this, I really love the grounded, like, this is so grounded, like, it's so, I mean, yeah, even with, like, stuff like the Pym-Tech arrow, it's like, even still, it's a very grounded show, and I really like it. I think it works very well. But, of course, one other thing I want to talk about, which was everyone's talking about this, was, of course, when, like, Maya was her actual name, when she was at, like, her little, like, dojo training thing, her dad said, I won't be able to pick you up after this, but, like, your uncle will take you home afterward, because he has to probably go do some, tracksuit mafia stuff. And, of course, we don't see the uncle's face, we just see a guy in a black suit, who then, like, puts his hand on her cheek like this, just, like, kind of rubs it, and then, like, just kind of chuckles a bit. And, of course, everyone, including me, we're all speculating that's Kingpin. That's Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin from Netflix. I mean, like, and I think, like, it's all stacked in favor of that being Kingpin. I don't see how it can't be, because, like, I mean, yeah, it could be someone else, but, like, the fact that they don't show his face, it's a guy in a black suit, which means, yeah, anyone would wear a black suit. It's like, but, I mean, Kingpin wore a lot of black suits in the show. You even see, like, the button things underneath, like, the collar, what were they called? I don't know. What are those things called that you attach to, like, the cufflinks, the button cufflinks? I don't know what they're called. You know what I mean? Put an image of what they were that he had in the show. You see some under there, so, like, and, like, also the quick chuckle. Like, I mean, again, it could be someone else, but I don't think so. Like, if you hear it, it definitely sounds like D'Onofrio's, like, kind of, like, soft laugh he kind of has. Sound like his voice. Like, it feels all too stacked in favor of being Kingpin. It has to be him, because, like I said last time, with all the rumor and speculation, plus the heavy ties that Echo has to Kingpin in the comics. Like, I mean, the comics, Kingpin killed her parents, but it's definitely not the case here. Like, the Ronin killed the parents, or the dad. Like, it just feels like it's stacked in the favor it's being killed. It definitely has to be. They're definitely playing it out. And they keep implying how Clint says there's, like, some higher-up guy behind the tracksuit, which, like, I mean, again, that's teasing. I think it could be Kingpin. Like, I think it's all pointing towards it could be Kingpin. Like, I don't think it's gonna be some kind of red herring thing. Like, well, maybe it's someone else. Like, I definitely think it's Kingpin. Like, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It feels like that's who it's gonna be. Like, I'm for certain that it's gonna be Kingpin. Like, and like I said, if it's Kingpin, I'll lose my crap. I'll lose my absolute shit. Like I said, I love the Daredevil show, so I'll lose it if it's Kingpin. That'll be awesome if he shows up. So, yeah. Some other things I kind of learned is that, you know, Echo, she's apparently in the comics similar to Taskmaster. She can, like, kind of mimic abilities, which is why, you know, she probably had an easy time picking up on the mouth reading, also picking up on some of the dojo, like, fight moves she was watching. So, that's all pretty cool. The Tracksuit Mafia, they're fun in this episode. Like, there's that one guy who's, like, talking with Kate, like, saying how it's such a, like, funny little scene where, like, she's just like, I bought my girlfriend Imagine Dragons tickets, and then, you know, I don't know if he got mad at her, or she got mad at her or something. It was like, he was complaining about something, and she got mad, and so I'm going to take my friend instead, but he meant that he wanted them to both go for a Christmas gift, and Kate's trying to talk to him, saying, you know, if you talk to her, explain that she made you feel bad, you can maybe work it out and such, and then he runs off to go work it out. And I'm like, only, like, that's such a random thing, but it was, like, so funny. Like, and Clint's reaction the whole time with, like, Kate Law in the episode, like, I just love how much Clint is just so nonchalant. Like, just couldn't not give less of a shit, but he's just, like I said, he's such a normal guy. He's like, oh my god, he's so nonchalant about the whole scenario. Like, it's really funny, I like it. And there's also a lot of great action. I forgot to mention also a lot of great action with Clint on his own, just shooting, like, arrows at the Tracksuit Mafia, and even Kate doing some, like, sweet, like side kicks or, like, sweeper kicks, and, like, it was a really good action sequence inside, like, you know, the building and such. And of course, the car chase sequence, like I said, very great scene. I liked it a lot. So, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something else that I may be forgetting before I stop it. I guess one other thing is that, you know, Hawkeye is trying to make the lie saying that Black Widow killed Ronin, which, I mean, I guess in a metaphor sense, it didn't, that's kind of right, because when Black Widow went to get Clint during Endgames, like, to bring him the help along with their time travel heist, you know, that in turn, like, killed the Ronin identity, because now Clint was given hope and to save his family and what, so the Ronin identity was effectively killed in a metaphorical speaking sense then. So, and he was there because he was Ronin. He's leaving out that key detail. So he's kind of not lying there. It's just like, he's leaving out the key details that actually properly tie it together fully. So, but you know, I like that. And, you know, there's also there's another guy who currently leads the Tracksuit Mafias with Echo, who I didn't catch his name, so I don't know who he was. But yeah, it's a lot, I don't know, I think I've covered everything I can say. Like, I really enjoyed the episode. I think, in rating-wise, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Literally, it's a high jump, but I don't know. My one complaint was just the cliffhanger, how it felt it didn't really feel like a proper cliffhanger, like an oddly abrupt ending. Like, but I mean, it was a solid episode, but it was a great episode. Like, I feel like if people weren't getting too into Hawkeye in the first two episodes, some people weren't, they were like, eh, this is fine. Like, I saw a bunch of people like that. But, you know, I think this episode is, like, will definitely get people hooked more in the show if they felt it was lacking in the first episode. This one, like, you're now getting a better sense. Like, you're seeing the tracksuits are kind of our villains, with, like, Echo chasing after Clint for revenge, or not knowing it, that it's Clint. We have a lot more of Clint and Kate's camaraderie, works very well. There's that funny scene also I just want to say, where she's talking about why she thinks Jack's suspicious, like how, gave me a butterscotch yesterday, about the proper context, and also how, when I tried to stab him in the face, like, he deflected like a pro. Like, of course, out the context still, and Clint's like, you tried to stab your mom's fiance in the face? Like, But all that I think is great. I'm really excited to see more. Honestly, right now, just from these first 3 episodes, I don't know, it's definitely one of my favorites of the Marvel shows so far, like, with their Falcon Winter Soldier for me. Like, I don't know, it's weird. A lot of these more grounded, like, shows are more, I'm liking a lot more than some of the other more fantastical ones, like WandaVision and Loki. I liked WandaVision, wasn't that much of a fan of Loki. But, you know, I really like this show, I'm really getting into it, so I can't wait to see what the rest will entail. I mean, we're already halfway done with the show. Like, it's only 6 episodes, we have, like, 3 more, so I'm curious to see what happens those next 3, so that should be very exciting. So, I mean, yeah. Thank you for watching. Tell me in the comment section down below, what did you all think of episode 3 of Hawkeye? Do you think Maya or Echo's, like, uncle is the Kingpin? And let me know also what you will think will happen next episode, so with Jack and Clint. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next week's episode review of Hawkeye. So yeah, see you guys all later. Goodbye. Hey, if you like that video, guess what? YouTube put out a video just for you on the left. Or, if you want to take my advice, watch the most recent video on the right. Thanks for watching.